The only way to be able to live an authentic life is to be able to unlearn and block out the noise. You have to be able to be self-aware. You have to be able to identify what you actually believe and what beliefs you've just adopted. You have to be able to really evaluate things and take a step back. You have to be able to observe, because from a very young age, we are shaped and molded. We're very malleable and susceptible to taking on ideas and making them our own. We sort of just say that this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I think, but we don't really take the time to question if those thoughts are ours or if they're someone else's. We don't take the time to look at the things that we've accepted at such an early age, because this forms at an age that we're not really aware. We're not really conscious. And so it just happens. And because we become so used to it, we become so accustomed, we don't recognize that it might not actually be who we are, because we carry those beliefs and those ideas with us. We carry that perception of the world in everything that we do and everywhere that we go. And so I think to live your authentic life, to be an individual, you have to be willing to question everything you know. You have to be willing to unlearn. You have to be willing to challenge yourself, especially the things that you are holding on to the strongest, the things that you identify with, the things that you are attached to. Those are the things that make up the biggest part of your identity. So it's actually most important that you look at those, that you deconstruct them, that you break them down, that you look at where they might stem from. It's challenging and questioning those things that will ultimately lead to the greatest transformation, the most growth, and that will free you from something that might actually be holding you back. This guy Sadhguru has a quote that beliefs are dying in installments, and that as we get older, we believe more and more and more things until everything becomes rigid. And then we live within the confines of those beliefs. And we live in a way that becomes subconscious. We live in a way where it's automatic, we're on autopilot. We don't actually have to think. We don't actually have to exercise any free will. Things just sort of happen on our own. And so if we don't take the time to look at things, then we will live a life that is not ours, but we will call it ours. And that's what so many do. And if you're someone who doesn't have this deep desire to reveal who you are to the world, to actualize that self, then this video might not be for you. But I know that there are so many people, and it's my belief that deeply embedded in all of us is the desire to actualize our authentic self, to reveal who we really are to the world and to not hide in any way, to express ourselves openly and honestly, to walk in the light of our truth. And that's one of the hardest things to do, to show ourselves, all parts of ourselves, everything to the world. Because if we're someone that's not who we actually are and we're not accepted, then we don't feel rejected. We don't feel denied. We don't feel like it's us that doesn't belong, because we never had the courage to actually show the world and to show the people in our life who we really are. And that's why vulnerability takes courage. That's why expressing yourself is really your greatest strength, not weakness. And that if you can show up as you, if you can say what you mean and mean what you say, if you can dare to speak your truth, even when it might not be accepted by others, then you can begin to pull yourself into alignment. When you can take the steps and the actions that you know and feel deep in your heart, even if no one around you understands them, then that is you stepping into alignment. That is you stepping into the power of your authenticity. And that I think there is a higher self, not a better self, but a higher self. And by higher self, I mean a self that embodies our nature, our uniqueness, our idiosyncratic traits, the things that make us us. A lot of us don't even know what those things are, or we shy away from them, or we feel it, but we've always been told that we're this type of person, that we have to live this type of life. And once again, this happens from an early age. It happens in childhood. And so the way we were raised, what school we went to, where we grew up, the culture, society, all of these things play a role in who we now are and how we express ourselves. And so if we don't take the time to unlearn, unlearning is the most important thing that you can learn. Not about acquiring new knowledge and learning new things. You don't need to add more to yourself. You need to take things away, because it's all of these layers that are distancing you further and further away from your true self. And so in order to get to the core, in order to get to the root of who you actually are, you have to peel the layers back. You have to sit with yourself and sit with all of the things that are there. And oftentimes we don't even realize everything that's there because we've never taken the time to get to know all of it. To get to know the parts of ourselves that we've been holding on to that really don't ring true to who we actually are. We hold on to things that don't belong to us. We hold on to things that don't belong to us. And it's because it's comfortable. It's because it's known. It's because it's familiar. It's because it's rooted in the past. It's because we've been told to hold on to this. We've been told this is who we are. This is how we should live life. And so most of us, we go through life with this inner conflict of who I should be and who I feel like I actually am. And so we have moments of inspiration, moments where we get a glimpse into who we actually are, where we have a choice to actualize that aspect that is truthful or to push it to the side. And when we make enough of these choices to push that truthful aspect of who we are to the side, then we deny our authentic self from expressing ourselves. And so what we have to do is to conjure up the courage to let those aspects of our authentic self be expressed. We have to let them come to the surface. Pushing them into the unconscious is only going to lead to more conflict, only going to lead to more resistance, only going to lead to you feeling like something is missing, something is off. And if you do have that feeling that something is off, that something is missing, that is actually a good sign, because it means that you're still connected to that part of yourself. If you don't have that feeling whatsoever, then you might be so far gone that you don't even recognize that you have abandoned your true self. You have abandoned your true self, that it's no longer even in contact with you. But for most of us, our intuition is speaking to us. Our true self is speaking to us. It's letting us know that it wants to be expressed. And it contacts us through the external world, through coincidences, through signs and symbols and representations and people and nature. It's all around us. And we're constantly being reminded of our true nature, of our authentic self. And so there's always the opportunity to let that shine and to expand into it rather than shrinking. That you are way more than an idea. You're way more than just an ego, a persona, an identity. And if you can become aware of that, then you can expand into what is more. And more is not better, but more of what actually rings true to you. Stepping into that power, into that freedom, being intentional and conscious in the decisions that you make. And really trying to align with the energy of what feels right to you, not what feels right to the world or to your friends or to your family or to what you've been told. Not the definitions of culture and society and what is out there, but to you. And so there is no right answer. There is only your answer. And you have to be patient with that. You have to trust with that. But what we can do is we can facilitate a space for that to flow, for that to come to the surface. That is what we can do. And so I've been on a journey of authenticity for what feels like my whole life, because a lot of things for a while didn't feel right to me. And I felt like I was being told to live a life that if I did live that life, if I did walk down that path, I would regret it, because I would know deep down that it's not aligned with my authentic self. I would know that this is not uniquely for me, that I have a different path, that my path is meant to be carved, that it's not already paved for me. And so that direction would not be true to me. So why am I going to walk down that path if I'm aware that it's not for me? And it's one of the reasons why I dropped out of college, because I knew that that conventional path was not for me. I knew that I did not sign up for a life that was ordinary, a life that was normal, a life that was average. And I feel like I've had such a strong connection to my intuition that I've had this inkling, I've had this utterance, I've had this voice in the back of my head that has let me know, Eric, I am here for you. Just listen to me. Just listen. Even if I don't give you a reason, listen, because I know. And I believe that that has been my connection to the universe, to source, to God, to nature, to whatever you want to call it. And I think that the more that we can become connected to that, the more we will be able to express ourselves authentically, the more that we will be aligned. And I think that that is what we are here to do. Because if we can do that, then we can love people to our greatest capacity. We can live purposefully. We can do meaningful work. We can serve and help others. We can make an impact. We can experience joy and bliss and gratitude and love and all of the greatest feelings in life. That ultimately that is what we are here to do. We are here to align with what is true to us. And that has nothing to do with anyone else. And this is also beyond ego. And it's a constant process. It's not a destination. It's a moment-to-moment thing. It's a day-to-day thing. And that falling in love with that process of being conscious, of being tuned in, of listening to yourself, that for me is what life is all about.